I've talked to almost 4,000 web designers face to face, like over Zoom and stuff. And I'm noticing that there's this negative vibe going around that is not founded in the data. It's not founded in reality. And I've collected a bunch of stats that I want to share with you in 5 different categories that really shed a new light on all of this. Like, for example, Forbes. Did you know that Forbes just said that digital marketing is one of the fastest growing, most in-demand job skills in 2024? That's kind of surprising based on what I'm hearing, because what I'm hearing web designers say is that AI is making us obsolete, putting us out of business. But the data is saying that that's the opposite of what's true. It's actually complementing our business, putting us more in demand, and that 94% of small businesses are going to be spending more on their marketing this year than last year, and 72% of their marketing budgets go into digital marketing. It's a $460 billion industry in the United States alone. So why can't we tap into that? Why can't we have a bigger piece of that pie? So that's what I want to talk about today, go through the 5 different categories of online marketing that are paving the road for the future for people like you and me that do web design and online marketing for our clients, especially small local business clients. So I will say this, that in order to make sense out of all the stuff that we're about to talk about, it's very important to know who you're doing the marketing for. Otherwise, you don't know where to put them, like how to get connected with their audience. You know, like if you're working with health and wellness and doctors and stuff, you're going to be looking at some niche business directors like Health Grades and Vitals and ZocDoc. Where if you're working with like home services, you're looking at Angie and Home Advisor and maybe Yelp. Man, I got some stuff to share with you about Yelp here in just a second. But the point is, it's really helpful to know who you're trying to reach in order to know where to reach them. So if you haven't picked a niche yet, or you're trying to figure all that out, check out the Authority Framework, and I can help you with it. It's for free. You don't even have to put your email address in to get started. And check out the Authority Framework and figure out what your niche is so that you can take advantage of all this stuff. Even if you don't do that, you'll still be able to see the categories that I think are paving the future for digital marketing. But in order to take action on it and figure out what services should I offer, what should I charge, what's the value to my clients, it's really helpful to know who the clients are in the first place. So check out the Authority Framework. But let's jump into the 5 different categories for marketing that I think are really interesting. They're not new categories. It's just a new perspective on them. The first one is review marketing. I think a lot of people think about Google reviews as the first place to go ahead and get some reviews. I think so too. I think if I were to only get reviews on one platform as a local business, it would be Google reviews. But Yelp reviews are huge too. In fact, I just learned that if you can help a small business increase their average star rating on Yelp by 1 star, like if you can take them from a 3-star to a 4-star average rating, that generally represents like a 9 or 10% increase in their annual revenue. That's crazy, right? Like, don't you think that's something? I think that's something worth putting some effort into. And here's some other stats about review marketing that I think are really interesting. People spend 50% more with businesses that regularly respond to reviews. So whether the reviews are on Yelp or Facebook or Google or wherever, what if you started offering a service that helped your clients respond to reviews? That would make it so they don't have to spend a lot of time on it. And it's going to mean that the people are going to be spending 50% more with businesses that regularly respond to reviews. That's a revenue growing activity that I would want to put into my marketing, which is huge. Here's another thing that's really interesting about Yelp. When I think about Yelp, I think about, restaurants and food and dining and nightlife and stuff like that as being like, that's where you go for that stuff. And it's true. Like if you look at the top 10 categories of what's talked about on Yelp, like the top, 3 or 4 of that top 10 list is going to be like nightlife, restaurants, food, stuff like that. But the rest of the top 10 list, like at least from spots like 5 to 10, it's like health and beauty and home services and auto services. Like here's what you can do. Go into Google right now, type top chiropractors near me. And I bet what you'll see is the top of the list, you'll see like Google Maps stuff, like the local map pack and everything at the top. And then right below that, I bet you see Yelp. I mean, and then if that's going to be the case, why, if you know that Google is indexing Yelp for the type of work that your clients are doing, why would you not put effort into getting your clients to show up well on Yelp? So I think that's an interesting point. So I would put review marketing into my list of things to do for my clients. But what about email marketing? I think email marketing is going to be a good step in the right direction. And even though it's not like a sexy thing to talk about email, everybody wants to talk about social media and all that stuff. But email marketing brings the highest return on investment. In fact, the return on investment that I've been getting from email marketing outweighs all of the social media platforms combined. So I think that's a really big point. So what I like to do is I like to use social media to drive people to my website, to get them to sign up for my email list. And then I leverage the email list to nurture the leads into clients. So why not put that into the mix? Why wouldn't you add that? Like, for example, One of the stats that I learned in all of this was that for every dollar that you spend, you make $36 to $40 on email marketing. That's a huge, huge ROI. So then the questions come like, well, what should I say in the emails, or how do I do the nurturing and stuff like that? Well, let me say this. Let me do a timeout for a second. One of the things that I'm thinking about doing here in the future is answering questions from subscribers. So like if you wanted to do stuff like, I've noticed a few people will post in the comments, or even ran a poll the other day that was like, how can I increase my maintenance fees, or what services should I add to my business, or how do you create a good digital marketing offer, and how do I get more consistent income and take the chaos and stress out of my business? And I'd like to do videos on all that stuff. So go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss those videos. And if you are a subscriber, you can then post comments like that, and I can make videos for them. And this is kind of where I got the idea to do this, which is like, what should I do to increase my monthly revenue, and what services should I offer? Like this stuff. Like this is the stuff that makes really good marketing packages. So we've done review marketing, we've done email. SEO is the third one. I think this is a really big one. The way that I like to think of SEO is not a standalone service. In fact, when we put the white label services together for DoubleStack, one of the reasons that we created our own white label team was because I don't think of SEO as a thing that you do. I think of it as a component to a holistic approach to lead generation. I think of SEO as lead generation. And the difference is, I'm not just targeting traffic. I'm not targeting keywords to get traffic to view a page on my website. Because why would I do that? Like, obviously I want people on my site, but I don't want them to just read the page and then go off and do something else. I want that to be part of a customer journey where I show up, people read the page, they then probably have some sort of an email opt-in like we just talked about, and then I can nurture that lead into a client. And it's like a whole customer journey that starts with organic traffic and ends with clients. And I think SEO is a really big deal for that. And one of the things that I know is that in fact, one of the stats that I discovered, and then put the link in the description, by the way, for all the stats sources, is small local businesses spend between $1,000 and $5,000 per month on SEO. Now, in my experience, it's a little bit closer to the $1,000 than the $5,000 because I tend to work with relatively small local service businesses with 1 to 10 employees in that range. And they're more along the lines of $1,000, $2,000 a month for their SEO. But that's still awesome, right? So I would still put effort into that, because if you can get your client to the top of Google for a local search, 31% of the traffic you get a 31% click-through rate. So 31% of the people that do that search will end up clicking the top value, or the top spot for that local search. So let's suppose it was pet grooming, for example. So you're working with a pet groomer, and it's hard to get really specific local search volume stats. But from the best I can tell, an average city in the United States, not a huge one, not a small one, just an average city, gets about 300 searches per month for pet grooming. So then you think, okay, well, if you're going to get 31% of those clicks, that's roughly 100 clicks per month if you can get your client to the top of that list. And let's say your site has a 10% conversion rate. So you take 100 of those clicks and turn them into 10 clients. So then you think, well, what's the value of a client then? Well, I've got a dog, and we take the dog. In fact, I got 2 dogs, and we take them both to this pet groomer. It's $50 a dog every other month. We take them, 2-month gap between each thing. So about 6 times a year. So each dog represents about $300 a year in pet grooming. Okay, so if you know that, and you also know that you can get about 10 clients per month out of that, you've added $3,000 of revenue every month to your client's pet grooming business, just by doing SEO and getting them to that top spot for that local search. But it's not really just $3,000, because I'm hoping that my dog lives a long time, and I'm going to keep going to the pet groomer for, I hope at least 5 years, if not more like 10 or 15. So even if it was just 5 years, that's $15,000 per dog, right? Or per month. Like if you're taking a $300 representative client, turning that into $3,000 because you're getting 10 of them each month, and then spanning that out for 5 years, that's $15,000 of revenue. $15,000 of revenue you're adding to your client's business every single month through SEO. I think that's a really interesting way of thinking about the math behind local SEO. But what about paid ads? So that's organic traffic. I think paid ads are really important too. So a couple of stats that I pulled out were pay-per-click ads have a 2% ROI on average. Now I'm seeing a lot higher number on my side than that. I'm seeing more like a 400 to 500% return. But even still, put in $1, get out $2. I would do that all day long. I mean, that's a great deal and worthy of considering adding pay-per-click ads into your into your offers. Another thing is that paid ads in search results account for 45% of the page clicks. So if you can get your client up to the top spot on Google organically, that's only 31% of the page clicks. 45% are going to these paid ads. So I would definitely think about figuring out, how do I get my clients into that top list of paid ads? And then the last thing that's interesting is that website visitors sourced from paid ads have a 50% higher likelihood of converting than organic visitors. So not only are they closer to the top and getting 45% of the clicks, but they have a 50% higher likelihood. So in our pet grooming analogy, if you were getting a 10% conversion rate on your site from organic traffic, that'd be a 15% organic conversion rate from your paid traffic. So I would definitely think about figuring out how to do that. Like, we've got white label teams in DoubleStack. You can find white label teams other places if you don't want to do it yourself. You can hire somebody. There's all kinds of ways to add paid marketing into your business without having to learn how to do it all yourself. And for me, I tend to outsource SEO and ads. And I do that because I want other people to turn the traffic engines on for me, so that when the traffic comes, I can focus on conversion rates, like converting the leads or converting the traffic into leads and the leads into clients. Which is, it gets me to the last category. The fifth category I wanted to talk to you about was the website stuff. What can you actually do on the website to optimize conversion rates and to get better results for your clients? And I noticed that one of the stats that I pulled out was a quarter of small businesses don't even have an H1 tag on their website. And I guess that's not too surprising, because most people that are building their own websites, they don't really know what they're doing. They don't know what H1 tags are. But from my perspective, I'm like, that's nuts. It's like, can you imagine the increase in results that you can get somebody just by on-site SEO and putting the right stuff in the right tags and meta descriptions and stuff? Nearly 60% of people said they would not recommend a business if they had a poorly designed mobile site. So what about the mobile? Because there's so much mobile traffic, especially for local businesses. I was on vacation a couple weeks back, and so like, I don't eat gluten. I have a gluten-free diet, and so I'll pull up my phone and be like, gluten-free restaurants near me, and I'll be looking at their gluten-free menus and stuff like that on my phone. And tons of people do the same thing. And if I'm looking at the site and I can't read the menu, or it's just a terrible experience, I'll just go to the next place that does a good job. So that's a huge way to get better results for clients. 70% of small businesses, 70% of small business websites are missing a call to action on their homepage. In my experience, it's more like 100%. Like, almost every single time I start working with a new client, there is no call to action anywhere on the site, especially not even the homepage. Unless you count, like, click here to get started, or a contact form as a call to action. I guess maybe. But when I'm talking about a call to action, I'm talking about, like, I've zeroed in on an offer. The offer has an audience. The audience realizes it's the right thing for them, and it's the next step to becoming a paying client. It's like an actual call to action. And most people don't have anything like that on their website. It's a huge difference between just, I have a website as a business card versus developing leads and a call to action. So that's a huge thing. 44% of customers tell others about a negative website experience, and less than 20% of marketers use a landing page A/B testing system to improve the conversion rates on their sites. So there's tons of stuff that we can do as web designers to improve the conversion rates on our client sites. So that gives us 5 different categories of types of marketing to do that will make a huge difference for our clients, and a huge difference for us too, because the results are in the recurring stuff. The results for the clients are in the recurring stuff, and the results for us, the stuff that makes it financially successful for us, is also that. So that's huge. So I hope that you found that to be pretty interesting. But there's one other thing too. So we just talked about 5 different categories of ways to do lead generation and marketing for our clients. But I've got a whole nother video right here on my top 5 lead generation strategies. And I think you'll find that really interesting. Check this out. It's an unusual look at 5 ways to generate leads for web design. Check it out right here.